And now, sit down, put your feet up, relax and listen to another edition of Parables on Parade. Tonight's parable is from Luke chapter 8, beginning at verse 5. A farmer went out to sow his seed.
Boring.
Excuse me?
Everybody knows the parable of the sower. It's boring.
Do you mind? Just once I'd like to get completely through a parable without an interruption.
Boring.
Will you stop saying that?
Well, it is. It's boring. It's about seeds. Who wants to hear a story about seeds?
This parable is not about seeds, it's...
I've got it. How about if we put a little emotion into the story? How about if we tell the story as if the seeds were living, breathing, emotional beings?
But they are not living, breathing, emotional.
I thought you'd like it. This story definitely has Pulitzer Prize potential.
A Pulitzer Prize?
I tell you what. You read the old boring parable just as it was originally told by Jesus. Then, at the right moments, I will inject the very lifeblood of the story, the emotions of the seeds. Do. This is going to be so good.
Right.
And now, it's time for the heart-rending story of the parable of the seeds.
It's the parable of the sower.
Go with me on this one. Our listeners will eat it up. And now the parable of the seeds. Okay, from the top.
A farmer went out to sow his seeds.
The seeds in his pouch rejoiced in the prospect of being planted and starting a new generation. They held hands and circled to dance the dance of planting.
Seeds holding hands.
Go with me here.
As he was scattering the seeds, some fell along the path.
The gaiety and laughter of the seeds soon turned to terror as the seeds saw gigantic feet lumbering down the path toward them. Some of the seeds had their tiny screams silenced forever as the gigantic feet crushed their tiny seed bodies. After the gigantic feet passed, the sickening scene of death and dismemberment was everywhere. Bloody wheat German bran lay strewn about where joyful seeds once danced. While still mourning for their dead, the surviving seeds were caught unaware as gigantic birds, sparrows mostly, swooped down from the skies. The tearful seeds didn't even have time to scream as their tiny lives were snuffed out.
This is unbelievable.
Kind of like science fiction, hey? Read on.
Some of the seed fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly.
The new seedlings held hands and danced the dance of first fruits to rejoice in the new generation.
But, because the soil was shallow, when the sun came up,
the laughter and merriment of young seedlings quickly turned to pathetic cries for help through tiny parched throats. Help, help, give us water. Please help us. We have no roots. Water. The tiny seedlings wilted and died an agonizing death as they gasped their last goodbye, cruel world.
Oh, brother.
Read on. We're on a roll.
Other seeds fell among thorns which grew up and choked the plants.
The ruthless thorns grabbed the young plants by their throats. What are you doing to our neighborhood? They demanded. The young seedlings pleaded, we just want to make a living. But the thorns were merciless. They took away their lunch money and beat them senseless.
They took their lunch money?
It's a cruel world out there. Read on.
Still other seed fell on good ground where it produced a crop.
Sheila seedling turned to John seedling and whispered, "Oh, John, you've made me so happy." John seedling replied, "Then marry me and be my pollen partner forever." Marry me, and have my babies. Sheila replied, "Oh, John, I love babies. How many babies do you want?" John replied, 30, 60, maybe 100. Sheila replied, 100 babies. You men are all alike. Then John replied, "But I thought you liked babies." Then Sheila replied, "Selfish, insensitive men."
Tune in next time for another edition of Parables on Parade.
I wasn't finished yet.
Yes, you were.
Based on a play by Bob Snook. Conditions for use: do not sell any part of this script, even if you rewrite it. Pay no royalties, even if you make money from performances.
You may reproduce and distribute this script freely, but all copies must contain this copyright statement.